Hey everyone, and Tim Baldermann, and welcome to this edition for Too Honest for Social Media, where we talk about local, county, state, federal issues, and we bring interesting people into the studio. And with all the podcasts we've done, I don't know that we've had two guests more interesting than the ones I have here today. For you New Lenox people, you know Israel Del Toro. We had a day to honor DT here. He's a Providence guy. Little Joliet, little New Lenox, but we claim him. He's a New Lenox guy. And for so many of you others, I know you know this guy who, to my right, the legendary Tony Orlando. Obviously, a familiar face, a familiar name, a great talent. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, but there's another purpose why we're here today. But let's just jump right in. DT, why don't you get started? Talk a little bit just about your history in the area and then your service in the military.
Yeah, so I was born out there in Joliet. I was there till I was 12 years old, and then I moved out here after my dad passed. Out here when I was 12 years old, out in Cherry Hill. From there, I went to Oakview, and then obviously Providence for 4 years. So. My Providence Catholic, my Celtics go Providence. Sorry, Lincoln Way. No one can be as good as us, but it's all right.
We'll let you get away with that for now. Go ahead.
And then I was here until I joined the military in '97, which is crazy that I haven't lived here in '97, seeing how much New Lenox has changed.
Yeah.
I just remember there was really not much out here. We had to go to Joliet or have to go elsewhere. We want to get into our misgivings, as a kid. And, obviously, I got hurt, which is even crazier.
He got hurt, Tony. He got hurt. That's what kids...
I love it when he says, I had a bad day at work.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that's what kids say when they fall off their bike, they got hurt. You didn't get hurt. Go ahead.
It's going to be 20 years this December since my injury.
Yeah.
Is that better for you?
Yeah, it's a little bit.
Is that better?
Yes, it's still short selling. But go ahead.
When we got ambushed and the IED exploded on the
there you go, yeah.
It's surreal really thinking that it's been going to be 20 years and thinking back where I started 20 years ago, after my injury, going from that, elite special warfare operator, 200-pound musclehead to waking up, 4 months later and not being able to move and being 115 pounds. It's very daunting that, that reality of hitting you. And then my journey, from then on, where obviously I came back in and I did 22 years, retired in August 2019. But I like to say sometimes I feel like I'm Forrest Gump. Because he talks about it. Obviously everyone's seen the movie.
Sure.
Talks about his journey in life.
Yeah.
And I see that in kind of me where I've seen some beautiful moments in my life, from jumping out of planes over the ocean, or even in Afghanistan, the night prior, it being a beautiful night, seeing every star, out there, to meeting, the people I know, like presidents, royalty, celebrities, freaking Tony Orlando, freaking a friend of mine. That's kind of crazy.
All the way around, my friend.
Yeah.
It is dumbfounding that a kid growing up, on the east side of Joliet on Clay Street, to become, this person now, where
an inspirational person. You truly are. You're an inspiration, and we're going to get into what you've been doing and what we're doing here, and talk more about that journey that you had. But you really, you're nothing short of inspirational.
It does. It's I remember one time I was sitting, I live in Colorado Springs now, and I'm sitting in my barn, and my brother comes. He was visiting me, and he leaves and he sees me. I'm just sitting there in the barn, and he's like, "What's wrong?" It's like, "No, sometimes I just sit here and just reflect on where I've been, where I am now, to the point where I'm at peace, and to be able to now to be this person, even though I don't see it in myself as this inspiration, or in the eyes of people, or what people see me as, it helps. I reflect on it. I was like, man, am I really this person?
Well, you deserve that peace, that's for sure. Yeah. Tony?
Well, I'll tell you how much of an inspiration he is. So I'm working on my garage door. And I don't know if you've ever taken the garage door and you pull it down this way because the thing doesn't work right.
Right.
So I pull it down and I cut this finger off.
Yeah.
Right down to below the nail.
Yeah.
Now I'm bleeding and the finger is cut off. Now I know DT for a while now.
Yeah.
I'm in the car. I'm driving home. I said, honey, I'm going to emergency. I just cut off my finger. She goes, what? You cut off your finger? She goes, yeah. Are you okay? I said, honey, listen to me. You know DT, right? This is a bee sting compared to what he's been through. This is nothing.
You're right. Put it in perspective.
Now, that might sound simplistic, but truly, that is what he does. Yeah. I don't think I ever spent a day since I've known him. He probably hates to hear this, knowing him.
Yeah.
That he hasn't filled my heart, that he hasn't made me feel stronger, that he hasn't made me think differently about my country, that he hasn't made me realize how grateful I am to get up every day and be okay and full and be full.
Right.
DT, in my opinion, now I've met a lot of injured young men from the war. Mm-hmm. And the wars from Vietnam.
Yeah.
I welcomed home the POWs in Vietnam in 1973 with Bob Hope. But there's something about him that he's able to be humorous. Yeah. He's able to make fun of himself. Mm. He's able to understand what you're going through looking at him. He doesn't put you through the test. He talked about what bothered him most about coming home after he was injured, that his son was going to be afraid of him. Yeah. And then he tells us that his son gave him this big hug, and it was like, okay, Papi. Mm-hmm. This is a rare dude.
Yeah.
This is not, and I don't mean to say that every one of my good friend soldiers who will come home wounded aren't rare and wonderful. But I got to be friends with this guy, and I watched him handle every day. And every single time I talk to him, I walk away feeling better about my life. Yeah. Because he doesn't feel sorry for himself. No. He doesn't ever go through a process of using this as a pity thing. He's just DT.
Yeah.
He's just funny DT. He's just wonderful, realistic, truthful DT.
Yeah.
He will not give you any bull. You're going to hear it as it comes out of him. And then I watched him with Tribute to Valor.
Yeah.
And the couple of times I've watched him get up, his ability to communicate, to articulate what he went through and how it would affect a young person is extraordinary. It is really extraordinary to watch it. It's kind of like somebody invented the vaccine for polio and killed polio. Mm-hmm. When he gets through with them, they have gotten something they never heard before, both visually and as he's speaking to them, because they see what he went through, and they see his attitude. And when he paces up and down, and he goes to his left and he goes to his right, and then he'll inject a little humor, and he'll come back with a hard right, and he comes back with a hard left. It's like watching Ali in the ring. Yeah. This is a champion. And the more I have learned to be next to DT, the more I love my country, the more I love my health, the more I love my family. He has encompassed all of that for me in one human being.
That's all right. Well, I guess I'm done. You two just go ahead and talk. No, you're right. The only thing I'm ever concerned about, because I've been with DT on a number of occasions when he's speaking to kids, is that he's the DT we know, like when we were at the American Legion having a drink. I'm like, DT, can you keep it under wraps? And he has a hard time doing that, but he is incredibly inspirational. You touched on it briefly, Tony, though, and we want to talk about Tribute to Valor. And, of course, I'm going to have to ask you about your career other than that, or I will just get slammed for not talking about that. But you had touched on your decades of commitment to those that serve. How did that get started for you? What was, obviously, in a world-known entertainer, hit songs, television show, everybody knows who you are. You didn't have to go do these things. So what was it for you, and when did it get started where you said, I want to do something for my country and my troops?
Subconsciously, it began with my family.
Okay.
Because everybody in my family served. In Vietnam, I went to, you go through each doctor looks into each orifice of your body and says whether you're healthy or not, and to be during the draft days, and I was 4F. And I remember going home feeling embarrassed and ashamed that I was 4F. I'm the only guy in the family that's not going to serve. And when I asked the doctor, why am I 4F? He said, you have a narrow auditory canal. I said, okay, so? He goes, well, you won't be able to hear a command. And he winked at me. He was getting me off, is what he was doing, not to go. Only because he saw my Greek name and he was Greek. That's the only thing I could think of,
Yes.
And he winked at me, and I walked, and I was so hurt by not being able. And I said, well, what do you mean? He goes, you won't be able to hear a command. I said, well, I'm a singer. He said, well, you must be a bad singer because you can't hear a note the way your ears look. It turned out I do have a narrow auditory canal. So that was the first moment. Then after Vietnam, when Vietnam hit in 73 and they came home, the POWs came home, and I get a phone call from the Bob Hope.
Yeah.
I think somebody's putting me on.
Yeah.
And I said, Mr. Hope, is this really you? Yeah, I want you to come to Dallas, Texas, to welcome home our POWs in Vietnam, Cambodia, and Laos. There'll be 70,000 people there, Tony. And you're going to open the show because your opening line says it all. I'm coming home. I've done my time.
Yeah.
And there are yellow ribbons on all their doors right now. And they did have yellow ribbons. The Vietnam vets didn't generally, but they did.
Sure.
So there's 500 plus of them on the 50-yard line. And I get out and I sing this song for the first time, Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree.
Wow.
And I hear 70,000 people singing Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree. And I look out and I see 500 of these guys who have been tortured terribly singing Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree, except one. One guy's got his head down, not clapping his hands. It was driving me crazy. Because performers will tell you, you can get people screaming. There's one guy like this, you're worried about that one guy, right?
That's what you're focused on.
Right,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
focus, right?
Yeah.
I come up and I said to Bob Hope, Mr. Hope, did you see that POW? He was looking down, not clapping his hands. Did I say anything to upset him? He goes, go ask him. Bob Hope says, go ahead. So I walk up and I said to that gentleman, I said, sir, my name is Tony Orlando, and I was the one that opened the show today. Did I say anything to upset you? Because I noticed you looking down all the time. You weren't singing along, and I know you had a tough time coming home, but I have a feeling maybe I was responsible for your sadness. He goes, Tony, no. Let me introduce myself to you. My name is John McCain. They pulled my shoulders out and broke my wrist. I can't clap my hands. What you didn't realize was I was looking down at my shoe while my big toe was keeping time to your song.
Wow. John McCain, yeah.
And I went, wait a minute. He was giving me the biggest compliment of all. Hold on, time out. So we become friends. So I say to John, if God blesses me with a career, I'm going to do everything I can to raise as much money as I can, to do as much as I can for veterans till the day I die. That's 1973.
Yeah.
Since 1973, they tell me in and around $170 million I've raised for veterans causes.
Tony.
25 of those years in Branson, Missouri,
Yeah.
where every year I started a veterans homecoming show, and it brought in millions of dollars. And so that is where it started. Yellow Ribbon has been the tool to raise that money because of that song and what it represented. And it ended up that song ended up being, just recently, if you looked in Jerusalem, they were wearing yellow ribbons on their lapels. They were, the president was wearing yellow ties, hoping the hostages would come home. Because when the hostages were held in Iran for 444 days, that's when the yellow ribbon really spurted up big time in America.
Yeah.
So it's been my way of serving my country is to be able to take that song and do something good for my country.
Yeah, 52 years in running. You had talked to me. So I of course first met you. You talked about your retirement, DT. I was out there in Colorado Springs for your retirement. Was it 2019? You said
2019.
And you know how much I love you, buddy, because as you know, I can't stand flying. And even after your injury, you're jumping out of a plane. But for you, I said, okay, I'll go out there and do it. I really don't like flying out west. I did that for you too with Las Vegas because that's more turbulence coming off those mountains. I only do it for these two guys. I'll fly out there. But that's when I first met you.
And he jumps out of a plane.
I know, he's insane. He's insane. But that's when I first met you. And then, of course, at your birthday party, we talked, and you were telling me about Tribute to Valor. And a quick, as you guys know the story, of course, I'm going to give you a ride back to your place. I said, Tony, I'll go grab the car. And you say, hey, I got to run back in and get my sunglasses. And 20 minutes later, no Tony, I go in. And that's because everybody at the bar heard you were there, and they came out and they all wanted pictures and talked to you. And you were the most gracious person.
We went to the party next door.
Yeah, yes, there was a party next door. It wasn't even at this party. But we got in the car and we started driving. We were talking about Tribute. And you got Jim Palmersheim on the phone. And this was late. I mean, you gave me a hard time saying it was early, but it wasn't early. It was late. And we were in the car talking to Jim on the phone about Tribute to Valor. And since then, of course, I had the good fortune of being with both of you in Las Vegas for an event, and now we've got you coming out here. Let's talk a little bit about Tribute. DT, you're going to be meeting with Tony, you, of course, as well. We have Gary Linfoot, who we did a podcast with, and another true American hero. And, you know, as I said in that podcast, that word gets thrown around a lot. But like I said to Gary, and I will say to you, and I will say to you too, Tony, what makes you heroes, it's not just your service to your country that you gave so much and sacrificed so much for. It's not just the fact that you were an incredibly successful entertainer, but said, no, I'm going to do for others. You could have just stopped there. Yeah. But both of you now are saying, no, I'm continuing to give back in a different way. Not just with great music, not just with defending our freedoms, but by inspiring other people. So talk about Tribute to Valor and what it means to you to go talk to kids. What's the message? What are you hoping to get across to these kids?
Well, for me, you know, when Tony reached out to me, it's like, hey, DT, there's this foundation I'm part of. I really would like you to be part of it. And I was like, well, what's it about? It's like, well, we go around speaking to high school kids. I know you've been doing that for years where you know, go around speaking. I think you'll be a great contributor to this foundation. I was like, well, what to do? It's like, well, we teach them about core values, about patriots, about the 6 pillars of the Medal of Honor, you know, commitment, integrity, and so on. And I think you can make a big impact on it. And you know, obviously Tony's a friend. I was like, of course, you know, no problem. It's like, yeah, I'll go do it. It's like, obviously, you know, I've come to you guys.
Sure.
You know, I spoke to your school, you know, a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So it's something that I've had no problem doing. You know, it was going to be my pleasure. You know, being able to speak to the kids and tell them about, you know, our core message. Who am I? You know, where, you know, you think you may, you know, at this point in my life, who am I? And the way I try and explain it to them is like, you know, that's always going to evolve. That's always going to change in your life. Like I said earlier, it's like, you know, I grew up, you know, I was a kid from the east side of Joliet. You know, did I ever think I was going to be this person that I am now? No, at that, you know, that moment of my life, all I thought was like, okay, who am I? It's like, okay, I'm this kid here on the bad side of town. I want to get out of it. You know, how am I going to do that? You know, same that when I talk to kids, like when you're in high school, you're probably thinking about, who am I at this moment? It's like, well, I want to go to college. That's who I want to be. It's like, all right, then when you graduate, what are you going to do? It's like, at one point you're going to be, who am I? Am I going to be a parent or non-parent? Do I want to have kids? Even to, I try and explain them, it's like, for me, I had to figure out once after I got hurt, because for a long time I was, this badass operator at the peak of my career, doing some amazing things, and loving it. And then getting hurt, I had to figure out, who am I now? I was like, and I always like to say, is like, I had two choices. One's an easy choice and one's a hard choice. The easy choice, I could be the guy staring out the window, hating life, saying, why did this happen to me?
Sure.
Or I can go the hard way. It's like, no, this ain't going to beat me. I'm going to overcome this. I want to show the world that I'm still going to continue to live. Because I like to say, I sometimes feel like I'm still that 12-year-old kid trying to honor my dad, the promise, take care of your family. And that what guides me a lot. The easy way, I wasn't going to teach my son anything. I wasn't honoring my promise to my dad. The hard way was. And so I chose. And I use that example in my life when I talk to these kids. God forbid they're ever in that situation. I like to say, we have, these points in our life where we're at crossroads, and you figure out what you're going to be. You got, are you going to have integrity? Are you going to have commitment? Are you going to be honorable? And usually a lot of times that's the hard way, or you can take the easy way where you're going to be like, whatever. And so it's almost like I challenge them to always keep pushing forward, and tell them, you're going to have bad points in your life. Life isn't going to be easy. Right. It's not supposed to be easy. It's going to be challenging. It's always going to be pushing. Yes, you're going to have moments in your life where you're going to be at bliss. You're going to have some happy times. But there's also times you're going to have some hard times. That's just but the goal is to try and commit and push forward and keep that positive attitude.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, I think the big reason that it's so inspirational to hear you talk is because you say you're going to have some hard times, but it doesn't get much harder than what you had to go through. Yeah. And you didn't just persevere. Yeah. I mean, the Invictus Games, the Pat Tillman Award winner. You didn't just survive and go out and tell your story. You are thriving. You are accomplishing more than anybody could even imagine to hope to, with or without being injured like you were. So you had the hardest of times and the greatest of success. And kids don't have to have the worst of times like you had, and they don't have to have this huge pinnacle of success either. They can just take this and turn it into this. Mm-hmm. And so you are, when we're together in a different setting, you're DT, and we know that DT, and we love that DT. But you are always who you are, and the kids, I think you sell yourself a little short. I really do, because Tony's right. These kids, they see you, and they may come in, okay, it's another assembly. What is this going to be? But when you're done, you can't help, and Tony, you talked about this yourself, and I have thought this too in my dealings with DT. I'm going to bitch about what? Right. You got to be kidding me. Really? This guy is out there loving life and making the most out of life. Yep. And I think I had a bad day? No way. So you are truly an inspiration, and there's no doubt about that. And Tony, you too. Again, I will get in so much trouble if we don't talk about your career that everybody knows you about. But that would have been more than any entertainer could have imagined. Especially back then when it was a hell of a lot harder to be a well-known entertainer like you, because now you can get on YouTube and you get 1 million views and nobody knows who you are. But there were 6 television channels when I was watching you as a kid.
Only 3 networks.
Yeah, that's right. And I watched you as a kid with my parents and loved it.
Thank you.
But that would have been enough for anyone to say, okay, I'm gonna call it a career too. But for you to say, okay, that's great, I had this success, but what you're doing and what you've been doing for 50 years is not personally financially enriching to you. It's what it does for your spirit and your soul. So can you just talk about how you make that? You do that.
I realized while you were talking to him just now something that hadn't occurred to me.
Okay.
I think one of the reasons I love him and admire and respect him is for the obvious reasons we all see.
Yeah.
But while you were talking, I realized, wait a minute, Tony, you took care of your sister who had an IQ of an 8-month-old baby till the day she died at 21 years old. She was injured. And that baby, who couldn't even speak and ate strained baby food for 21 years, and I changed her diapers all that time, taught me more than anybody has ever taught me anything in my life. She taught me the importance of being able to scratch my own itch because she couldn't. And when I find that itch, it was like, She was my first DT.
Yeah. Amazing.
And she taught me more than anybody who was not injured. When I look at him, I realize what you just said, that young people seeing him and feeling him and getting at the same time hearing his sense of humor about it all. He knows what he looks like. He knows how bad he got hit. He knows what people refer to. He knows how people can react, and he knows how much good he can do.
Yeah.
Now, if I hadn't had my sister, I don't know if I would have been that responsive to DT. I don't know. Because when my sister would cry for that itch to be scratched, if I didn't find that itch, Mayor, she'd go into a seizure, which would scare me to death. That seizure was so big that if I didn't find, I got to find that itch, Well, I made this guy, DT, whose fingers are not there. It's hard for him to scratch his own itch.
You ain't gonna come scratch me, Tony. I know you want that.
See what I mean?
Ain't gonna happen.
You know what? He's a ball breaker. It never ends with
But
this
the
guy.
point is made, right?
Yeah.
The point is made. So I'm like, and this just happened. So help me God.
Just click now.
So help me God, this just happened. While you were talking to DT, and I realized, well, wait a minute. I met a DT before, my sister.
Yeah.
Wait a second. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have picked up the guitar to sing for her because that's what made her happy. Right?
Yeah.
I love this man.
Yeah.
And I love him even more because he shares with these young kids we see from Trips to Valor. He knows what impact he's going to have with them. And he uses it for their benefit.
Yeah. He does. There's no question.
Forget it.
Yeah.
Because when he gets up to talk to them, you can see them straighten up. And then when he's funny, they laugh. They go, wait a minute, time out.
Yeah.
This is one of the guys.
Yeah.
This is one of the guys in the neighborhood. Yeah. So when I first started with Tribute to Valor, I wanted, and the reason I asked DT to come in, subconsciously, what I just said was going on in my head.
Sure.
I think. It just came out of my mouth just now.
Yeah.
But subconsciously, I knew that he was a healing factor because young people today, they have a barrage of information. Not like us. They're getting it from everywhere, every direction. Boom, speed at speed, speed of sound, information coming their way. How do they make decisions? How do they see life? What is their next move? Really, what are they going to do? Well, to simplify it is say hello to DT.
Yeah.
To get right down to the real balls of it all, say hello to DT. Because the truth of the matter is, if you get a principal up there or a teacher up there, they'll listen, but there's not that right hand that he can deliver. When I saw that the future of our country is dependent upon our high school kids and our sixth graders, and you know that.
I do.
Because you deal with that here. And that's why you and I hit it off.
Yes.
But I knew that Tribute to Valor was a foundation that was very important. You know, I remember working with Gary Sinise and Jim Palmersheim in the beginning of Snowball Express 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I was there for that.
Yeah.
It was me and him, and it was me, Gary, and Jim Palmersheim,
Yeah.
and American Airlines, and Ross Perot, who was kind enough to fund it. I realized when I read about how kids are being taught, what they're learning, what they're hearing, what they're teaching, it's too much for them.
Yeah.
So we simplify 6 core values that guys like him and the Medal of Honor people live by. Now, wouldn't you want your kids to go to a school that teaches integrity, patriotism, commitment, sacrifice?
Yeah.
Sure. And that's what we're doing. We're delivering that. And my dream is that the governor of Pennsylvania, of Illinois, of Las Vegas, Nevada, says, you know what? We're going to put those 6 core values in our school system.
Well,
Now, there are character things in schools, but I mean lean on it. I mean lay on it. I mean say, okay, we're going to do 1 month on what integrity means. Right. We're going to do a 2nd month on what commitment means. We're going to do a 3rd month on what sacrifice means. And let's make it really important, not just say, here's a word, here's a word, here's a word.
You know what's so funny, Tim? He kept asking, you've already tried twice to talk about Tony's career. And
he's not getting away with this shit. I'm going to tell you right now.
He just pushes it to the side. I was like, let me talk about something else.
He does. But I'm going to tell you something. It's because he is so committed to this cause. But I know the crap you're trying to pull, Tony. We're going to get to that. But you're right. And what I will tell you is this. Most schools have something like that. But they'll go on the announcement first thing in the morning. Today's word is courage, and that Webster defines courage as this, and then we'll see you next month for another word. It's not the real deal.
Right.
So knowing DT, being involved, getting involved with you and DT and Jim and Tribute to Valor, going out to Las Vegas, seeing it in the schools. My school has, as you know, has the Tribute to Valor logo up on our gym wall.
Yeah.
And my kids are going to be there with Lincoln Way kids. Well, but I believed in what you said. When we were in Las Vegas and you were talking, and the lieutenant governor was there, and you were talking about, that being the hub and really getting started. And I had said to you and DT and Janice, I said, I want this in Illinois schools. There needs to be, you can have whatever political views you want to have. But when we stop saying this is the greatest country in the world, that we need to love our country, we need to love those who serve and protect us, we need to have honor, we need to have integrity, then we're lost. So again, this is not about, it's for this party or that party.
No,
this is for Americans, and we have got to get back to those core values, teaching our young people, yes, have your convictions, stand up and speak your mind, believe what you want to believe, vote for who you want to vote for, but you had better love this country that has given you those opportunities to do that. And if we don't do it in the schools,
Mayor,
it's over.
Mayor, I disagree with you.
All right.
I don't hear people saying courage, commitment in a big way. They don't even talk about the 10 Commandments. Forget about 6 core values. The 10 Commandments aren't even talked about. Okay? So what I'm saying to you is there might be a day, and it's in the school,
Sure.
but not a national commitment and where we say, this is what's got to go into our schools. We sure push everything else into our schools. We sure push everything that isn't even something you want your kids to know in our schools. But we don't make it big enough. We say it, but let's make it a big deal.
It gets the lip service, and that's my point, is that, yes, they will say it at an announcement for 10 seconds, but it has to be the core. And I will brag a little bit about my school, and we've talked. You know this. You and I have talked about this for quite a while. I have, as you know, Joliet, a low-income minority school district that the others that are like it are failing. Niche ranking systems has us in the top 1% of all elementary schools in the United States, and the reason that is because my staff and we focus on the kids first, connecting with them, teaching them about integrity, and that's how it starts. If you don't do that, go ahead, talk about DT's book.
Okay, I just looked at this cover, all right?
Yeah.
A Patriot's Promise.
Tony.
Right?
Tony could be like my best publicist.
He's your publicist.
Right? Okay, Patriot. This is a great book. First of all, it should be a movie.
It
will be a movie.
It is a great book.
It will end up being a movie. But here's the thing. He says, really important to me, keeping my word.
Yeah.
You know, you say a Patriot's Promise. That's great.
No.
And you say protecting my brothers. We know he does that. Look at him.
Yep.
But keeping my word. That's TD in a nutshell right there.
Right, yeah.
Keeping my word. And that's what and I really believe this in my heart, we are not teaching our kids that. We are not. I go to the schools and I don't see that. I don't see keeping my word in that school. I don't.
I think what happens is like we've lost the sense of honor.
A sense of honor.
For me, keeping my word is honor. It's, you didn't have to back in the day have to have a whole contract. A handshake was your word.
Yeah.
You saying, "Hey, I got you. I promise. I'll do this." That was like being written in down on paper. It was honor. People had, even in the military, we have all this. All our core values, but I like to say we need to focus a lot more on honor. It's like have that honor, making it where your word is a contract that you're going to be committed to that.
I'll tell you what was shocking.
And that's what I just try. That's what I just try and do.
The vice president of a high school that we went to did not know what the Medal of Honor was. Had never heard of the Medal of Honor. It blew my mind.
Yeah.
Well, if you don't have a vice principal not knowing what the Medal of Honor, you think the kids are going to know that?
Kids will know nothing about
nothing about it.
Well, but that's what this group. I've been very fortunate because you told me I would be inspired, and I was. I told you that we were going to do this here, and we are, and we're bringing this here to our area, to our community, and the goal, and that's why we're meeting with legislators, we're meeting with educational leaders, because the goal is to do exactly what you said. Not to give it the lip service, but to say we need to get back to that. We need to get back to that honor that you talked about.
Well, I'm just glad that, okay, I got nothing against Lincoln Way. I'm just glad you didn't take me to Joliet Catholic, JCA, to have to and bypass my high school in Providence.
Listen, we were going to be at Providence. But they had a Teacher Institute Day tomorrow.
So I'm just happy they make me go, my first, us starting that, I was like, we're going to go to JCA.
Yeah.
I'm like,
well,
bro,
Jim,
you
I
kill
want
me.
to thank you because, you're in the world of politics, and it didn't take you 5 minutes to respond to this. No. And I want to thank you, really. You're a light. You're a shining light. You're a beacon, really, for the way it should be done. You may not agree with everything, but you know humanity and you know good feelings and you have common sense. Yeah. And it's obvious, and I just want to thank you for the commitment that you've given Tribute to Valor, the way you've treated me, the way you've treated all of us in your city. I really mean that. Those of you who live here, I don't, and I've worked for 9 presidents, so I've met a lot of politicians in my life. But you're a rare one, you're a special one, and thank you so much for all you do.
I appreciate that. He should be a publicist for both of us.
Right,
I think you're just saying it because you like my wife. I mean,
well, that's why he left early from my party, because she wanted to meet Tony Orlando. Like, I got to go or I'm going to get in further trouble because he's here.
It's all about you. All right, Tony, you're not getting off the hook. You are a man of integrity. We talked about what matters most. That's about our hero. That's about tribute to valor. It is about a patriot's promise. It's about all of those things. But I will get run out of town. Let's talk real quickly. This amazing career for you. How'd you break through? Because you're just a
64
superstar.
years.
Okay.
54 of those years headlining in Las Vegas. That's a pretty good run.
Yeah.
That's a blessing. And I just give it all my thanks to God. I never saw high school. When I was 10 years old, I saw a movie called Singing in the Rain with Gene Kelly. At 16 years old, I had a #1 record called Halfway to Paradise. It was written by Carole King. It was her first hit record. When the Beatles came in, I was out of work. Clive Davis made me vice president of CBS Music. I ran their music division for 4 years. I represented James Taylor, signed Barry Manilow, produced his first records. Laura Nyro, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, the Yardbirds, Grateful Dead. Had a pretty good run.
Yeah, you did.
And then found myself backing into Candida, Knocked 3 Times, Yellow Ribbon TV show. And if you're asking me how it happened, I don't know. All I can tell you is when I thought I was going right, God made me go left. When I thought I was going left, he made me go right. And every path he put me on has put me right to where I am right now.
Well, you truly are an entertainment legend. However, far more importantly, as our viewers and our listeners got to hear today, you're an incredible human being that just has his priorities right and uses your celebrity for good. And you have, and for decades. So you talk about keeping your word and keeping your promise. Bob Hope picked up that phone and said, Tony, I want you to do this. Bob's been gone a long time, but you keep going.
Well, there's another guy I worked
going.
with, like Bob, that you might remember, Jerry Lewis. Now,
Sure.
I co-hosted that telethon with him and Sammy for 33 years.
Yeah.
And this is a guy that started when people didn't even know what muscular dystrophy was in the 50s. Yeah. He raised billions of dollars, and searching for that cure, he was responsible because of the science of DNA for creating more science in DNA. Look where that took us.
Absolutely.
So he was, talk about a commitment. That guy was amazing.
You know what's so crazy? It's like, Tony, he doesn't talk about a lot of times about, who he knows, what he's done.
Sure.
He's very, but, every time, I hear him, he tells someone he's known, I was like, dude, freaking Tony's like a living history.
He is.
He's the people he's known, got to see things, some of us have only seen on TV or read in books.
Yeah.
He actually knows these people, and it's so crazy. It's like, I'm friends with this guy.
People his age and younger have no idea who I am.
No, don't kill you. Oh, no, because they know that's my boy, you and Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler made him famous for this generation.
You talk about real quickly before we wrap this up, and I should know this, you're going to be upset with me. I don't remember. What was the name of that real famous restaurant we were at in Las Vegas together? Where you bought
Bootleggers.
Bootleggers. You got, you got me my birthday cake. We were there on my birthday.
Right.
But you were telling me after...
Oh, the diner.
The diner.
The diner.
The diner, not Bootleggers.
When we went for breakfast.
Well, whatever it was, you used to go there with some people in the back table there. Who'd you used to go and have after shows?
Oh, I would go there with Sinatra and Sammy and Dean, sometimes even Elvis, because during my time I was working at the Hilton. He was working at the Hilton, and very often I come in, like it was his closing night. He'd go, hey man, let's go have something. And they would close up the shop for us. That was a 24 restaurant. And they would hear Elvis coming. Boom, it was locked up. Yeah, many times.
So you're sitting at a table,
That's
Elvis
crazy.
Presley, Frank Sinatra.
Yeah, right?
Sammy
That's what I was
Davis
telling
Jr.
about.
Yeah, exactly. And he's like, oh yeah, Elvis.
And I lived that life. Just think, I lived that life that I dreamed of.
Yeah.
And I tell Adam Sandler all the time, Adam, I sold 170 million records or something like that, 3 platinum albums, a television show with 36 million people watched every single Wednesday night. And what did my career wind up being for a young 25-year-old? You ever hear of Tony Orlando? No. How about this? What up? Oh yeah!
That's right. You are the best. Guys, I love you
From
both.
the movie, that's my boy.
That's
yeah.
right. I love you both. I appreciate all that you have done, all that you continue to do. D, always welcome home. We love having you here, buddy. We truly appreciate that. Tony, thanks for being here. And
Patriots Promise.
Patriots Promise, that's right. Tribute to Valor. Look up the website, all the good things that they're doing there. Gentlemen, thank you both so
Thanks,
much.
Ted.
Thank you,
we
man.
appreciate all of you for watching and listening to this edition of Too Honest for Social Media.